Welcome to another episode of Let's Wine, Stories Uncorked from FIEXPO Costa Rica 2026. And I have the distinct privilege of having Annette Gregg, CEO of Site International, and you're going to be sharing with our audience all the work that you do at Site. Welcome, Annette. It's such an honor to have you here.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here. My first time at FIEXPO. Not my first time in Costa Rica, but my first time at FIEXPO. And we have so many wonderful members and friends on the show floor and all around. It's been a great few days.
Well, and I know that you're a wine lover.
Yes, thank you.
Well, and like we say, pura vida, salud.
Pura vida, salud.
Pura vida, pura vida. And Annette is drinking a wonderful Sauvignon Blanc, and I continue with my Protos from Riviera del Duero, Spanish wine.
Lovely.
Yeah, so Annette, tell us a little bit about your professional career, because it's so refreshing to find women who are leading this industry. So why don't you share with us a little bit about your professional trajectory?
Well, thank you for that. Well, yeah, so I lead Site. Site is an association. We're a global association, about 3,700 members. And I'm the first full-time female CEO they've had in 53 years. So it was an opportunity that came to me about 4 years ago, and it's my honor to be their CEO. We're very international, so I spend a lot of time on the road visiting members and clients and going to expos like this and representing incentive travel. So Site is specific to the world of incentive travel, which is basically your MICE section, but high-end luxury reward travel, given a trip that someone wins because they've achieved an accomplishment. So it's been really wonderful being in this. This is a very welcoming community for sure. My job before this was I was Chief Revenue Officer at MPI, Meeting Professionals International, which is about a 14,000 member global association. And I think some people wondered why I went to Site, because we're a lot smaller than MPI. But there, to your point, there aren't that many CEO opportunities that come up. So I was having a really good time and enjoying my job at MPI, but this CEO opportunity came up, so I knew I had to go for it. But other than those two, it's been about 30 years in the business events industry. Just worked for a few tourism bureaus myself and convention center. I've been on the client side, corporate buyer, agency buyer, and I've loved it. This is such a passion of mine, being together face to face. I really believe in it, and so it's wonderful that I found a career I love so much.
Well, it's so encouraging when you speak with such a passion about this industry that you've seen evolve over so many years, right? Just like good wine, good wine, it gets better with time, over time. And where do you see I don't like to say challenges, where do you see the opportunities for our industry?
I think one thing that as a senior person in the industry, I'm most concerned about is I don't think we have a consistent story about what our industry is. And it makes it very confusing for people who are trying to get into our industry, or for people to even find our industry. So we know that a lot of baby boomers will be retiring, and they're starting to. We're seeing retirement messages all over the place. And that's a large part of the founders of this kind of this industry. So back in the 1970s, we really even started talking about what a meeting planner is. We've always had hospitality, but really having business events as a true discipline is only about 55 years old. So those people are starting to retire. So when you talk to a young professional and they're looking for an exciting career, they don't think about meeting and event planning. Even after all this time, they don't know. They might know hospitality because hotels are all everywhere. They don't know tourism. They don't know what it's like to work for a DMO. So how do you get that generation, that new generation of young professionals to find us instead of so many I talk to, which are, I kind of accidentally heard about it. And that's not a way to recruit the next gen of talent. So I think part of our issue is that we don't have a really good unified story. I might describe the industry one way, you might have it another way. And then if you're a hotel person, you're looking at it through your own lens of being a hotel salesperson, things like that. So it's almost, we're so diversified as an industry that it makes it a little confusing to to find a point of entry into the industry.
Yeah. And also the misconception, because even those who have a couple of years under the belt in the industry, sometimes they even perceive themselves as logistics coordinators.
Absolutely.
And they usually do not see themselves as a strategic partners.
Huge problem.
And that mindset, it's not there. So
it's a huge problem.
Yes.
And we've talked about this forever. I remember in the 2000s, my current boss at the time, she was chairwoman of MPI. And her theme for the year was getting a table at the C-suite, and it was the same thing of trying to get a meeting planner, meeting professional to think strategically. And we're still not there. This is the year 2000. So what is happening? Why can't we bridge that gap? So I think it's a few things. I don't think we tell a great story about the impact of the work that we do. You were probably in the Politicians Forum yesterday, and I think there was a consistent theme that for these elected officials and tourism officials to really support the MICE industry, we need to be telling a better story about the economic impact, the sociological impact, sustainability impact, how it benefits the citizens when you have this convention coming into your location. So we need better storytelling around it, because a lot of stories we hear are, how was the food, or how was the quality of your hotel room, which we just said it's more logistical. That is not the story that we want to lead. We want to tell the story of impact. And then I also think that if you think about the meeting planner role, which is very fast-paced, it's very adrenaline-driven, it's got deadlines. So that is very much a project management role. And then we say to that same meeting professional, hey, you've got to be more strategic. And she's like, hey, I'm drowning here. I'm just trying to get my job done. And now you tell me I have to start measuring my carbon impact and footprint. And so I think that is inherently, it's a conflict, because these planners are trying to get more done with less time and less budget. And we're saying, hey, you've got to think bigger. And they're like, next time.
I gotta show the ROI in front of my board of directors.
Right.
Or my boss, whatever division that may be.
That's right.
And show me the numbers.
Exactly.
Show me where you're bringing.
And she's just trying to, get a good night's sleep because she's got 5 other events coming with too little time. So I don't know what the answer is there. It's maybe some internal sponsorship from some executives. If we can get who's owning the budget for these, it's usually a chief marketing officer, maybe, could be a chief sales officer, could be a human resources department, whoever's owning the P&L for these meetings. If we can get them as the champions, and then they can be the strategic voice, because the meeting planning teams, I just don't think they're going to have time to get there. So, and maybe the agencies can help with some of that too, some of that wording and messaging.
Yeah. And also getting the case studies from the communities that are impacted.
Yes.
I think it's so powerful. I mean, and we've seen this over the last couple of days here in Costa Rica, how much talent, especially young talent, it's here at the expo and at the convention center. And at the end of the day, there's a direct impact, right? But we don't tend to record good case studies of how these young people, and I'm amazed how many of them are here supporting this event, are exposed to whole other range of, and in this case, the tourism industry.
Yes.
But there are many other industries that they're exposed to.
I love that idea so much. I mean, really, every time we come into a city, we should be involving the local schools. Maybe it's just the last day, the last half of the last day. You let them come in. They're coming with their professors or their high school teachers, and they're walking around saying, oh, what is a business event? What is a convention? Wow. So I love that idea, is really more community integration. And then your point about better storytelling. Kind of one of the gentlemen yesterday from IAPCO, Martin, brought up about getting more local media coverage. And I wanted to continue on that thread because I think it's so important. The media stories, we don't always do ourselves any favors. Our own media gives us negative spin all the time. So, we get all these emails from all of our own media, and it was what convention canceled, and airfares are this high, and over tourism, and FIFA can't sell their hotel rooms. Like, we're not helping ourselves by producing that. Let's talk about wonderful impact, about all these people that are having business meetings out there on their show floor. And that's hard to do because we know media is just trying to get people to open we know what clickbait is, and, but it's like, gosh, it doesn't help. I feel like we're pushing a stone up a hill sometimes.
But it's great that you're leading the advocacy for the industry. But I think also comes from just being reactive and not owning the narrative.
Really good
And
point.
that's something that we need to start doing, owning the narrative. And that's what we're hoping to do through this channel, to really give a voice and own the narrative for the industry.
I love that too.
Over a good glass of wine.
And yes, over a good glass of wine. Well, I feel like the last time we came together in a unified voice was kind of 08, 09, that first recession that many of us, maybe that was the second one we've been through. And I still remember a toolkit I was given from Meetings Mean Business Coalition, and it had some statistics. I quoted those for years, Andrea. How many, a face-to-face meeting can close a deal 7 times faster than having calls and emails and things like that. Really concrete data of why face-to-face matters and why it carries so much business importance. And we're getting there finally. I see some of that narrative coming out now. But to your point, I'm on the council for the Events Industry Council, on the board. And I think there are 18 associations that belong to that. I know GMIC has a group. So there's these groups of associations. Somehow we all need to get that one sheet. You're in marketing. Give me the one marketing communication sheet, and I will sing the same song as you. We need that for sure.
Wow, that's encouraging, but there is a lot more work that needs to be done, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And Annette, I know you've been to Costa Rica before, but that was a while back ago. What are you taking with you from FIEXPO and especially Costa Rica, the Pura Vida country?
Well, I think there's such an opportunity. I'll speak especially from the incentive side, because I think Costa Rica is such a wonderful incentive destination, and especially now. So what our data is showing, there's a few things that I think Costa Rica and really their sister countries here can benefit from. But we have most of our workforce, our global workforce, is under 40 years old now. So we know this, right? Everyone's skewing younger. And those are also the attendees that are coming to these incentive programs. So that younger traveler has some preferences, some clear preferences that the data is all showing. And I know we hesitate to talk about generational trending, but it's showing. So they like an authentic destination. They like destinations that have a culture and have a vibe to it, like Pura Vida, that live the brand throughout. It doesn't feel like you've plopped, Miami Beach in the middle of Costa Rica, right? They also like immersive and active activities. So they want to get out and do some hiking. It's not just when I first started in the business, it was spa, golf, and shopping. That's all you needed for a good incentive program. Now I want the authentic taqueria. I want to buy a gift from somebody made locally that's going to benefit a charitable cause. Yeah. And I want to explore on my own. I don't even want you telling me what to do all day long. So really the natural options, I think, again, that lifestyle of a very, nature and healthy lifestyle here. The food is amazing. All of that is fitting in with the trends of the incentive design now.
Locally sourced elements.
Absolutely. And the sustainability commitment here. That really resonates with that generation. They want to know that if they're coming to a destination and a property and a convention center, they want to know that is acting responsibly. That destination is responsible. They're being responsible for the environment, for the through line of all that they say they're doing, they're actually really doing. And a great example, I was over in the cafeteria, and there's a few ladies over there with some handcrafts that they're doing on their own, and it's benefiting a women's collective. That's a perfect example. Yeah. And wouldn't we all rather buy something there than something made not here, and that's not going to benefit the collective environment. So I think the community, I think that's a real benefit. And the storytelling that Costa Rica, a destination like this, which is so authentic, can really lean into that, and they're going to win more fans because of that.
That's absolutely wonderful. But let's you talked on a couple of points, but I gotta ask you a very strategic question. Yeah. What's your favorite go-to wine, Annette?
Well, I will tell you, I'm from California, so we have a lot of good wines, and I did work for the Monterey Carmel Tourism Bureau.
Did you? Wow.
So I think I just really fell in love with that Carmel Valley region of wines. There's some Bernardus wines up there. I do like a good light, like Sauvignon Blanc, Pinot Grigio. So I will try wines from all over the world, though. I really do enjoy and tasting the regional differences of everything.
But is there a particular wine?
Well, it was a Bernardus one that comes to mind, like a Sauvignon Blanc from Bernardus is probably the one that sticks in my mind the most.
So I I'm going to recommend you,
please.
not California,
Okay.
but Mexican wines.
Okay.
So, and you were talking about local experience.
Yes.
I was introduced to Mexican wines from the Guadalupe Valley last year,
Yes.
and from Coahuila, the Coahuila region,
Okay.
and even smaller zones that they're really putting a lot of effort into making sure that the smaller organic wineries have a chance. And I was so impressed by those wines. It's really hard to find them in the US, though, I have to say. Really, really hard. But they are absolutely amazing. So I become a big fan of Mexican wines because it's unknown. It's an unknown.
I'll tell you, it's interesting you bring that up. I was just talking about that region with a friend because from San Diego, where I live, there's a train, the wine train that goes through the whole region, and it's just a quick day trip. So it's becoming very popular for Southern Californians to go down to that whole region. It's really becoming something.
Yeah. So next time we'll have another podcast over a glass of wine in Mexico.
I'd love to. Okay.
Now, Annette, incentives, the incentive travel market. It's a market that companies they're at an inflection point where they want to recognize top performers. They want to do it, but they want to do it with less budget.
Yes, right.
And there is a pressure, ongoing pressure, how to do more, how to recognize with less budget.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What trends do you see, and what's your advice for the person that is there being asked to do more with less?
Yeah. Great question. And so we have, most of our data comes from, we do data research throughout the year, but we have a big study every year called the Incentive Travel Index that we do in conjunction with the Incentive Research Foundation. And what we learned from budgets, 48% of the event planner's budget for incentives goes to air and hotel. So that doesn't leave much left for everything else, all of the really special sauce that makes the thing so memorable, right? I mean, a great hotel room is important, but I mean, all of the decor and the experiences, that's what they're writing home about. So, and to your point, even that pie is getting shrunk. So now you have 48% of an even smaller pie. So the trends we're seeing is that meeting professionals and incentive professionals, especially, they do want to try somewhere new. And we think it's because after COVID, it really was one of the first sectors to come back because you can't do an incentive program over Zoom, right? They really want to go and experience that thing. So incentives came back pretty quickly. 2022 is all, we were almost fully back. So they've already had a lot of programs. So now we're in that trend of, okay, now what else? I've got to go somewhere new with my people. I'm really exploring somewhere new. So again, really great opportunity for some of these, we used to call them secondary locations, but not as well-known locations because there's also that budget pressure. So they can't maybe afford, I use this example a lot, but maybe they can't afford Paris anymore, or they've done Paris. So now they'll go to Lyon, which is an hour south, but a lovely college town. So what are those cities that are around the big known cities that can now benefit from the fact that the meeting planners want to go somewhere new, but they still don't have a lot of budget, so they can't go in. They also don't want to spend a lot of time in the air. So there's still also a time deficit. These programs aren't 10 days anymore. These are 5-day programs. So there's still a sensitivity to flying them all halfway across the world. So I think the winners right now are the ones that have okay lift. You don't have to have direct. You can still have one stop and get there. But a secondary city that's just kind of coming up, as long as they have a good hotel product, that's still pretty important. Everybody wants to have a good night's sleep, and they expect kind of that level of a hotel product. Right. But it can be a destination that's not as well known because they're ready to try something a little bit edgier and new. The other way that they can save some budget is by leaving some time open in the agenda. So the qualifiers have been saying, hey, I am too stressed out. You're packing these agendas too much. I mean, we've heard it even for business events, right? I've gone to many conferences already this year, and they don't want, none of us, I don't want it either, but I don't want 8 a.m. till 10 p.m. with no break. It's not sustainable. We're all trying to check our email and everything else. And data is showing that if we pack the agenda too much, that they will just start not showing up to things. So everyone's trying to open that agenda up a little bit, and incentive goers are saying, you don't even have to tell me what to do. You can give me a whole afternoon off. It's okay, because I just want to go hike the mountain on my own. So I think that's a great way for an incentive designer to save some money, to get them out and enjoying this beautiful destination. And still the incentive goer doesn't feel like, oh, I missed out on something. They wanted the free time.
Right.
So I think that's how to meet both those needs right now.
And I think we've had a number of convention bureaus join our podcast over the past 2 days. And I think that building that partnership with the convention bureau, it's so important, especially for secondary and tertiary destination cities. Yeah,
absolutely. The DMO and the DMCs, those two together are really going to unlock all that magic in the destination that we don't know from the outside. You can go on the website, but what you really want is you want the things that people don't know about, because also this is a pretty savvy group traveling now. Everyone did a lot of their own travel after pandemic. So now these qualifiers, they've seen a lot. So they don't want just the regular catamaran trip. They've done that one. You know, they'd actually rather take their own boat out and have a competition or do something to explore a little port on their own. So only the DMO and the DMCs are really going to be able to give that inside information. And it doesn't have to be all perfect either. It can be something like, hey, we'll take you to a neighborhood. We don't usually take people here, but you're going to get some amazing local cuisine. That's what people want now, is authentic, immersive. It doesn't have to be super polished.
Well, that's really great. And Annette, one of the things that really it's important, or that has become much more relevant when it comes to meeting planners, is the use of technology. And I think the hardest thing is finding the right balance between having enough technology so that it's immersive but not overwhelming.
Yeah.
How do you see that?
It's a great question, and it is a struggle because there is an expectation. We'll just call it personalization. So these attendees, and we do it as consumers, we'll shop on Amazon. Amazon knows our trends. Okay. So they're telling us what we need to buy next. You know, what articles I read, the articles I'm getting suggested to me, it's all. So we are known as a consumer. So I take that same expectation into my business events, and especially the incentive goer, who is someone who's got high expectations. So I think we can use technology to personalize their experience better on the front end. So the communication for incentives is a 12-month process, right? It starts the minute they leave their other incentive and we tell you, hey, next year it's in beautiful Costa Rica. So that is now this communication journey we're on with them. You know this as a marketer, to get them excited about actually going for that trip. Well, that can be done through technology in creative ways, launching some gamification, getting to know them, personalizing their journey based on their personal preferences. And then when you even get, so say they qualify, now they're personalizing their on-site experience. Well, I can give you some choices. I mean, I think that's what we're seeing a lot in our data, is they want a lot more choice. It's not a one-size-fits-all. You're going to have 5 generations attending these incentives now. So I, as the organizer, I have to lean more on my DMC to say, hey, we need a lot more choices here. And maybe you make that a technology journey, a little bit of a game. And okay, like, you tell me what persona you are. I'm an active person. Well, that takes me down one pathway in the technology where I choose my adventure and I choose my gift and I choose my meal, all based on how I identified my liking. Oh, okay, I'm an art lover. Well, that's a different experience. So I think technology can just help us personalize that journey a little bit. But when they get there, still very high touch, still very immersive. You know, you don't need technology to interpret this beautiful weather and destination.
Well, yeah. And I think as AI develops more and more, we have to become much more experts, learning to navigate when it's appropriate and when it's not.
Yeah.
So that it doesn't become overwhelming.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, I think any technology, and we'll just talk about AI, as long as it removes friction, I think people are going to embrace it more. If it can be truly a coworker to me or an administrative assistant to me, but if I'm using it to the point where now it's overly complicating things, then I'm just adding layers for the attendees that doesn't help their journey at all. I think there's also going to be an interesting wave back to nostalgia. We're kind of seeing that. So all this technology, so much coming at us, a new thing we have to adopt now. So we're seeing that trends are kind of going back to nostalgia of pen and paper and no phones needed, and, you know, paper maps and things that are just a little more tactile that we're used to from kids.
And just good conversation.
Well, that's it. That's it. You don't need to overcomplicate it, right? A good glass of wine and a good conversation.
That's right. That's right. Annette, what we have what, 6-7 months before the year ends?
Yeah.
Right? What's in the store for Sight over the next 6 months and into 2027?
Well, we have, so from our global headquarters, we have about 6 or 7 conferences that we do ourselves. And then our chapters, we have 28 chapters around the world. Of course, they do conferences and their own education. So personally, the team does try to get out to as many chapter events as possible. We were here at FIEXPO, and our South America chapter did a nice pre-conference day. We also did a certification delivery, which we now do in Spanish. So we great. Thank you. And it's really nice to have partners like FIEXPO that give us the space for that and invite us. So for our headquarters events, we have our second largest one coming up. It's in Puerto Rico this year. It's at the El Conquistador. So outside at the El Con. And then I think some people will stay and do a post trip down to San Juan. And so for us, that's an important one because it also raises a lot of money for our foundation. And usually about $300,000 is raised during that event. And then we use that money to support individual members, research, and chapters throughout the year, and scholarships for emerging professionals. So that's called Sight Classic, and that's coming up in 2 months.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, so it'll be wonderful. And I've never been to El Conquistador. I think it's an iconic resort in our world. So I'm excited to see that.
Wow. Annette, what's your favorite destination in Latin America? I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay, that's a good one. Okay. Well, I'll give you something that and I have been to, I'll give you a recency bias. I did just visit Cartagena, which is a special gem. We have a wonderful board member, James Gallegos, who owns Muisca DMC, and he created, I was just there for 3 days, and it's just a beautiful historic city, and it's still got that lovely, warm Caribbean water, all that you want, but then it's got that whole history of that whole area. It's just fascinating how much history came up through that kind of central area before it went back out to Spain. So I do have a recency bias of that. I stayed in this beautiful Sofitel Hotel, which I think was 400 years old. It was an old monastery and just lovely.
Yeah.
But I will say another special place for me, my first trip I ever made to South America was in Chile a long time ago. I was working for my very first job in the industry. I was working for Food Marketing Institute, and our members were all grocery stores. And of course, Chile produces such great wine and produce and fish. And I was with a bunch of our top grocery stores, and we were touring it was like a gastronomy tour. It was wonderful. So that was my first trip to South America. So I'll always have a special place.
Yeah, we always remember that first business trip.
It's true.
Mine was to Mexico City. So
wow. I haven't been yet.
Yeah. Oh, so yeah, we have to. Well, next time Mexico City.
Okay. It's something.
It's those first business trips carry a special place in our heart.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Annette, we are in June. The World Cup is happening in the US.
Yes.
I don't know if you follow soccer, football as we call it, or not, but what's your bet? Who are you betting for that's going to win the World Cup?
Well, I don't think it's the U.S., but I will say, so I'm in San Diego, and we have some games that are relatively close, about an hour and a half away. And I might be this Friday going to U.S. versus Paraguay.
Wow,
game.
That's amazing.
I know. So my husband's working on it. We'll see if we can pull it off. But I've never seen a professional football match. And that's as close as the World Cup will ever be to me, I'm pretty sure, in my lifetime. So I am hoping.
You'll be amazed by the Paraguayan spirit.
I'm sure.
We have the Paraguay delegation here. So
I know I should go tell them at their booth. I'll take a picture with them. So I am looking forward to that. I think it's especially for California, there's such a LATAM culture there. And I think it's going to be a nice unifier for the state. And we have a lot of games, mostly the ones that I'll follow are the ones in Los Angeles because that's where I'm close to, but I know we have a lot in the region.
Annette, what closing message do you have for somebody that it's an incentive meeting planner or an organization that is thinking about joining Sight? What message do you have for them?
So I love that question. Well, I think associations in general really have to reevaluate their value proposition. I think when all these associations, PCMA, MPI, us, we were all founded about the same time, around 55 years ago. And the reason we joined right when it started, the reason why I joined 20 years later, and the reason why someone joins now, those are different reasons. And I think we have to continue to reevaluate, are we offering what's needed for the new leading professional, the new incentive professional? So, and I do get asked this question all the time. Why should I join? Or should I join MPI? Or should I join this? And I think the best reason, the first thing I tell everyone is don't join anything yet. Go try a chapter event. Go come to one of our global events. Try out the community. See if you feel that it's welcoming. See if the education is useful to you. I feel like joining without attending something is like, let's get married and then you'll get to know who I am. You know, it's like, no, you don't have to join right away. You can come as a non-member, come as my guest. But I think what they'll find more often than not is our wish as site staff is that they'll find a welcoming environment that actually does feed them on many levels, feeds their career development, feeds their professional development education-wise, and really brings business opportunities to them, you know, makes those connections. We talk about this in the industry. Oh, it's an industry of relationships. Well, how do you start those? Well, it starts by getting to know someone now. You may not have a piece of business for them, but you're going to remember them. And you're going to say, oh, I finally have a piece of business for you. Now I can give you this. So it does take a little bit of time to have an immediate ROI from some of these things, but it just starts by showing up and shaking a hand.
And I'll give them one more reason.
Yes.
Having a female CEO who's a visionary.
Thank you. Thank you.
Greg, thank you so much for the gift of your time. How we choose to spend our time says a lot about us. And I'm so grateful for your time.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Wonderful conversation.
It will be a date in Mexico.
Let's do it.
Over some Mexican wine.
Let's do it. I'm in. Cheers.
Salud.
Salud. Thank you again.
Thank you. Let's wine. Stories Uncorked.